Perfect. Okay, so like I don't have anything to introduce you with flower because you have been studying it since class 6 or so. The content that you have in the syllabus is actually the structure of what is bisexual flower, what are different parts of it, and what are the functions of each and every part.
So this will include, sorry to interrupt, but this will include the reproductive post part of the plants also, right?
Sorry.
Will this include reproduction of plants?
No.
No,
This
right?
is
Okay.
very specific to only flower.
Okay. Yeah, I remember because last year in the reproduction of plants, we had drawn the flower diagrams and pistil, la 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 la.
Oh,
So
that is there.
yeah, we had done it last year, no?
Huh. So this particular chapter, see, like we are starting with the second unit, which is called as flowering plants, and the flowers is the first part of it, and then what you have is the pollination and fertilization as the second chapter. And then we go to plant physiology, which is third unit, which has your seeds and germination of the seeds and so on. And then respiration in plant as a second chapter in the plant physiology. So that is the most that you have with related to plant. And these all this chapter, they are relatively very small. They're not huge ones. Like probably tissue was a little elaborate, though it was also a small chapter, but still these are not even half of them. So structure of bisexual flower, that is what are the components and the functions, and the brief introduction of different classification like based on presence of all the parts, complete or incomplete, and so on. What are the essential and non-essential wholes, that means the parts of the bisexual flowers and their functions, and different types of inflorescence like how the flowers are being arranged, and the placentation, that is after the fertilization and so on. So that is the overall content that you have. It also mentions that charts or actual specimens may be used to help and enhance the clarity of concept, but I still prefer the pictures on this slide compared to this because they equally give the same essence. Like I will show you the charts through the screen, doesn't make much sense. Rather I will prefer the uh, diagrams or pictures on the slides itself. Okay, so basic definition of the flower, it's a specialized shoot which in which the leaves are modified into floral structure. So shoot, you all know, that is the growing part above the ground, that is called as shoot, and that is specialized into a floral structure, that's what is called as flower. So in terms of definition, it's a specialized shoot in which the leaves are modified into the floral structure. Now, you will find so many types of flowers based on something being, some structure being present and some structure being absent in the flower. Now, there is one such classification that you see here in the second and third point, that is a stalk or the pedicel which supports the flower. So this particular, in this case, this is hibiscus flower, that in Marathi we call it jaswandi. So in this hibiscus flower, you can see there is this stalk or the pedicel or the stem of the flower. You can use any of this terminology, but stalk and the pedicel, these are the scientific ones. And stem of the flower can be confusing if you just write stem, because plant has a stem and the flower doesn't ideally. So that way. So the stalk or pedicel, they will support the flower, and they are called as either stalked flowers or pedicellate flowers. In simplest term, let's say Sneashes gives a rose to someone, he will hold on to the stalks or pedicel. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sneha.
No, I might give a rose to someone. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Very good. So that way it is called as stalked or pedicellate flower. And there are flowers without the stalk, and that is called as sessile flower. So just as a representation, in this middle flower, what you see is this is the stalk which is attached to the branch. Yeah, branch is not called as stalk. There is a
So,
specific stem of the flower.
okay.
and that is called as pedicel or stalk. And
So
in
1 minute, sir. Let me make some notes on this slide. No, 1 minute.
yeah, and in this other case, what you have is no stalk. The flower is directly attached to the branch, and these type of flowers they are called as sessile flowers. That is, they don't have any stalk or pedicel. So two types of the flower based on the presence or absence of the stalk, that is pedicellate or stalk flowers, and the second type is sessile flower. And again, the example of sessile flower is shown here. I forgot the name of this plant, but yeah, I will let you know this otherwise. But yeah, this is how the sessile flower looks like in reality, and this is the representation at the center. Shall I move forward, Snehashish?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the flower. Now there are several parts of the flower. Like you said, you already know quite a few of them, but just to quickly go over them. Now the tip of the flower stalk, that is the upper part of the stalk, may be expanded to form a cup-shaped receptacle or thalamus. Usually at the base of the flower and at the end of the stalk, you have a little cup-shaped structure that is called as receptacle or thalamus. So just to show you, if this is the pedicel or stalk or what is also stem of the flower, that is little expanded here compared to the diameter of this other part. You can see it is little expanded. That is a cup shaped structure, and that is called as receptacle, or it is also called as thalamus. Now the other floral parts which are like we commonly know or commonly see is they are classified into four different components, or they are also called as whorls. So the floral parts are born on the thalamus, that means they are present on the thalamus, which is a cup shaped structure, and they are in four whorls. Whorls means parts of the flower, specifically flower. So the first whole contains your green sepals. Now green sepals, and they are collectively called as calyx. So if I show you in this diagram, these ones which are present below the flower and above the stem or the pedicel, they are called as sepals, and their function is specifically to protect the flower buds, that is when they are at a very young stage. And this you would have seen again commonly, especially in case of rose again, for example. When the rose is in the form of bud, you will see the sepals, they have covered the whole of the bud, and then it as and when the flower blooms, the sepals they separate and forms the base of the flower. So that is the sepal, and because they are green, you can obviously imagine it will also do the function of photosynthesis. So that way the sepals they protect the bud, as well as they perform the function of photosynthesis. That is the first whole, which is sepals, which is also known as calyx in when present together. Like all the sepals, they are collectively called as calyx, and the individual part is a sepal. Second whole is corolla or petals. Now, these large, brightly colored petals, they are collectively called as corolla. Now, in some cases, you have round shape or elongated shape. Some cases they are fused, or some cases they are separate. In some cases they are arranged in one single circle, or in some cases they are arranged around the reproductive structure or only on one side. So there are several types based on the arrangement of these petals, and they are usually brightly colored. The purpose being because they need to attract the insects for the purpose of pollination, so that the fertilization can happen and the seed formation can proceed. So that is the for petal individually, and when they are present in together or collectively, they are called as corolla. So that is the second whole. First whole sepal calyx, second whole petals corolla. Third whole now these third and fourth one, these are the reproductive structures. These are non-reproductive structure. First and second are non-reproductive. Third and fourth whole, that is male reproductive structure and female reproductive structures. They take part in the process of fertilization. So in the third whole, which is male part or male reproductive part, it has a long thread-like processes. Now, I don't remember, I don't think you would know this word. So the processes, they usually refer to, when it comes to biological context, they refers to the outgrowth or the projection or hair-like structures, right? So like for example, if I say on my head, these hair, they are the processes, or on my skin, there are hair-like processes. Like we have skin hair, we can call them processes of the skin. That is the outgrowth or the projection or something that is coming out of it. So that's what is referring to the process and not the process itself. Like we have a process of making something. That is not what it means here. So these are long thread-like processes projecting out, and each will end in a bilobed tip. Again, a new word here. Bi refers to two, lobed refers to compartment. So there will be two compartment structure present at the tip. These male reproductive structures, they are specifically called as stamens, like individually, and collectively they are called as androecium, right? Andro is usually referred to the male sexual reproduction related structures. So that is the androecium. So, and individually they are stamens, and each of the stamen will consist of filament as well as anther. So let me show you in this diagram again. So this particular structure that you see, yellow colored anther and the green colored filament. Now this is again a representation. The filament need not always be green in color, or anther need not be always yellow in color. They can be orangish or reddish in color sometimes. Depends on what kind of flower it is. And the filament can also be something like a petal color, or it can be transparent at times. So that way this whole unit is called as stamen, and individually all these stamens, they are called as androecium, and the function is of course reproduction, being the male counterpart. So that is stamen, which consists of anther and filament, and this anther, like it is being said, it is bilobed at the tip of the stamen. Bilobe means two compartment, right? So individually you can see there is one on this side and the other one on the other side, and each of them, they are bilobed. Usually they are bilobed, I must say. In some cases they might vary based on what is the flower we are talking about, but in most of the cases these are bilobed anther. And the filament, again, the length might vary, depends on what type of flower is. In some cases it will extend out of the petals, or in some cases it will be just very short and it will be deep within the flower. So that way the structure of stamen will also vary. And that is the third one, or the male reproductive structures in the flower. Now the fourth one is the female reproductive structure, and in this case they are centrally located pistils. That is another name for female reproductive structure, which is the individual unit, and they may be formed of a single female unit, that is also called as carpel, and or they can be of the several fused carpel, which is collectively known as gynoecium. So if they are individual, they are called as pistils or carpel, and when they are fused carpels or fused pistils, they are called as gynoecium. Again, same like individually they are in male they are called as stamens, collectively they are called as androecium. So in female, individually they are called as pistils or carpel, and collectively we call them as gynoecium. And each gynoecium or each carpel consists of three basic part, that is ovary.
The last year, I told we can call like both are the names, like we can call them either pistil or gynoecium, but we didn't know the plural. And is like, is it supposed to be plural, singular, or can
It's
we?
not literally plural and singular, but it is just like a, means, yeah, indirectly it refers to there are many, but yeah, in a way, yes, you can say it's singular and plural. Yeah, that is the case.
Okay, so they're not the same thing.
It's like, where is it? Yeah, if individually I will call this as stamen, right? But if I have to say all these stamens, I will not say stamen, or I will not even say all these stamens. I will simply say the androecium part of this flower, that way.
Okay.
And even same is the case with gynoecium. Now in this case there is only one that is shown here, but there can be many, and many can be free, like similar structure having separate existence, or they can be fused together. So that way it depends on what flower we are talking about. So for example, here you can see all the anthers and filament, they are on this tube which is called as style. Now this is totally different arrangement. On top, what you see here, these are all stigmas. That is the flat structure on the top of the flower, which is female reproductive part. And then they are going down, and at the base of this flower what you will have is the ovary. So that's what is being shown in the diagram here. So the each of the carpel consists of basal ovary. That is, basal refers to at the base, yeah, or the bottommost part of the flower. That is, at the base it will be ovary. In the middle there will be style, and at the uppermost part will be stigma. And we will again individually see how does this look like later in this chapter. So just a quick revision: sepals individually, collectively called as calyx. Then petals, collectively called as corolla. Stamen is the male reproductive structure, consists of anther and the filament, and collectively it is called as androecium. And the female reproductive structure, that is the carpel, or it is also called as pistil. Individually it is called carpel or pistil, and collectively it is called as gynoecium. And it consists of three parts, that is your stigma, style, and the ovary part. Pollen tube comes into picture after the fertilization, or after the pollen grains they arrive on the stigma. Otherwise this is not the, obviously style is the only tube which allows the pollen tube to form, but that is the structure which forms after fertilization, sorry, during fertilization. Yeah, so you can ignore this part for the moment. And also we will see the distinct part of ovary and ovule in the later slides. This is another representation just for your information. So whenever you have to draw the diagram, you can draw it like this, because for me I felt this was a little, because it's colorful, you might not like it. So just this is someone who has used and drawn it, and that is what is the represented here. So let's say if you have a question, draw the flower structure, and then you can draw these different structures. Again, like I had mentioned, petals you can draw in any shape as you wish. Sepals you can draw in like a free or fused form next to this base, or the thalamus, or the receptacle, what is it called. And also the length of this stamen or filament, you can draw a short, that is still fine, because you are drawing a representative figure and not a particular flower structure as such. So that way these things can vary, but overall structure remains like this. Okay, does anyone have any question here? I assume no, but still let me ask if anyone has any question. Okay, so if there are no questions, then like I had mentioned at the start itself, there are several types in which flowers can be classified. One was that we just saw was the pedicellate or the stalked flower, and the sessile flower, that is with or without pedicel. Now, based on whether all the four floral structures, that is all the four whorls, are present in the flower or not, based on that flowers can be classified. So if all four whorls are present in the plant, it is called as complete or perfect flower. Why it is called complete or perfect? Because it has both male and female reproductive unit, and if at all the fertilization has to happen by self-pollination, it can happen then and there, and that's why they are not dependent on anything else. That's why they are called as complete flower. And the incomplete or imperfect flowers are the one in which any of these one of the floral structures they are missing. Usually it is one of the male or female reproductive structure. You would have rarely seen a flower which doesn't have a petal and which doesn't have a sepal. That's a very rare example. At least I don't know of any, or at least I haven't seen, but I'm sure they do exist in some cases. But this imperfect or incomplete flower mostly refers to one or more sets of this flower structure being missing, and usually it is the reproductive unit. Again, another types of these floral parts based on whether how much function they do in the process of fertilization. That is, they are called as essential or non-essential. Essential parts are the ones which are directly involved in the reproduction. That is your androecium and gynoecium, or stamen and carpel, right? So these are the essential parts, and non-essential parts are the one which does not take part in the reproduction at all, but they just help to protect the reproductive structure either during the birth stage or after the fertilization. So that way these flowers these non-essential parts, they help. You would have again seen some flowers, they kind of after blossoming, they what is the word, unblossoming, no, what is the word, anyone knows? Okay, I can't recollect, but I will call it probably unblossoming. That is going back to that murja hua stage, right? So that particular stage, all the petals they collectively come together, and they still protect the seed which is about to be formed. Like the pollination has happened, pollen tube has formed, the pollen grain has reached to the ovary, fertilization has happened, and that's when the seed formation starts. And that process also has to be protected. So that is when sometimes some hard covering is formed over it due to the that flower being unblossomed. So those are the non-essential part, and the essential ones are the reproductive structure, that is stamen and carpel. Now in some of the cases, now this is again another type of classification of the flower based on what happens to the petals and sepals. If they are undifferentiated, that means they are like petal and sepal, they are not separate structure, they are one structure, and that is called as perianth. And perianth would be most common if you have seen champa flower, right? That is your Firangi something it's called, Fringi Pani or something, I don't know. But Champak or Safa, that is the name. And there you see this perianth commonly, in which the petals and sepals, they are kind of fused. Just let me show you that particular part. So,
Frangipani.
sorry?
It's called Frangipani.
Okay, I just don't remember exactly how is it called in otherwise. So yeah, this is actually a perfect example. Though this is a representative flower, but you can imagine the green part as a sepal and the floral petals, they are fused together. So you don't see actually green sepals separately, and the petals separately. But at the base, if you see, there is a greenish tinge of the flower. This dark side does not show, but inside the flower, you can see the greenish tinge. That is actually the sepals being fused with the petals. And sometimes they are also called as tepals. That is not a commonly used term though. Perianth is most commonly used term. So this particular fusion of sepals as well as petals is known as perianth. And based on what this perianth is, like if the perianth is non-green, right? Non-green means it is more like petals or more like colorful petals. Then it is called as petaloid perianth. And when it is green, that is more like sepals, it is called as sepaloid perianth. So that just based on which component of petal or sepal is more, that way the perianth can be classified into petaloid and sepaloid perianth, right? And perianth refers to the fusion of petals and sepals in which you are not able to differentiate these two structures separately. Like in most of the cases, you see the green sepals and the flowering petals, but in these perianth flowers, you don't see them separate. That is, they are fused together. Okay, again, any question here? And I hope people are still following.
Yes, sir. This
Okay.
one.
So this is just a quick summary of what we have seen so far. Now, so the flower plants parts, not for flower plants, flower parts, they are classified into two: non-essential and essential whorls. In non-essential, you have sepals, which is collectively called as calyx, and another non-essential part is petals, which is called collectively called as corolla. Essential whorls, they can be male reproductive structure, that is stamen, collectively called androecium, and female reproductive structure called carpels or pistil, and collectively they are called as gynoecium. Stamens, they are further divided into two parts. Here it is shown as three part. I will tell you what is this part. So there is anther and filament. Connective is one of the furthermore structure which is connecting the anther to filament. So in between anther and filament, there is a small stem or a stalk-like structure which is allowing the anthers to connect to the filament part, and that is called as connective. And there is as such, apart from supporting the anther function, there is no much role of the connective. But majorly, stamens, they are divided into two parts, that is anther and filament. And the carpel, individually, they are divided into three parts, that is ovary, style, and stigma. And the functions we already know. So this is a kind of quick summary of this diagram. So whenever you want to like you are writing exam, you don't have to read all that information that is there. This you can quickly revise just by looking at this particular diagram. And same, this is another one, just the mention of what are the different types of flowers based on what is the like arrangement of the sepal, petal, and also of the stamen and the carpel. This we will see further, but I have just kept it here for the moment. So that is the different types of the flower based on different floral parts. Okay, I guess I will just finish this part and then I will stop for today. So in the floral parts, now these were the all the regular parts of the flower. Most of the flowers, they will have all those parts that we had seen, that is 4 whorls of the flower. But apart from that, there are other flower parts as well which does exist commonly otherwise. So in this case, first one is the bract. When a flower arises in the axil of a leaf like structure. Axil refers to the branch from where the branch from the stem from where the leaf arises. That particular point is called as axil, right? Now when the flower arises in the axil of the leaf like structure, this structure is known as bract, and the bracts may be green like ordinary leaves, or they can be colored, depends on what bract it is. So most common example of the bract is bougainvillea, right? I assume you would know this plant. So this particular structure or this particular flower is bougainvillea. But let me show you one more very common bracted flower. Yeah, the flower which has this bract, uh, bracteate flower, bracteate. Yeah, and this would be very commonly seen as well. I don't know where is it. Can't see it here. Let me leaf like flower. Yeah, this one, anthurium, it is called. And again, you would have seen in many gardening uh, plants. Yeah. So this is again another flower which is kind of leaf-like structure arising from the axil of the leaf. Yeah, and this is like very colorful that you know already. And surely this one bougainvillea that you know of, that is your another example uh, of the bracteate flower. Now, the most common thing about this bracteate flower is that it is not to be confused with the uh, petal. The bracts, they are not the petals of that flower. In fact, the flower is something different, or flower is located within the bract, and bract is just the surrounding part of it, right? So, for example, in this bougainvillea, what you see here, the white part is the actual flower, and these are the bract. Yeah, so that way this is a different structure altogether. Yeah, it is neither a petal, neither a sepal or so on, but it is a separate structure called bract, and within which the flowers will be located. Again, this is another example. This is more like a citrus fruit, sorry, citrus flower, but this is not citrus flower. It is something similar to that, where you have the small flowers at the center and you have the bracts structure around it. And this is another example of bracteate flower. I mean, bracteate flower I'm saying because if the flower has bracts, they are called as bracteate flowers. Yes, Prakriti.
So what do you mean by citrus flower?
Citrus, the lemon category wala citrus.
So in flowers.
Yeah, like structure wise they are similar, but they are not exactly same. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So that is the bract. And the second structure, which is also present in most of the flowering plants or most of the flowers, is the nectaries. Now, we all know what a nectar is, which is a sweet, fragrant liquid. Function of nectar is to attract the insect. That is why it has to be present in the flower. And this group of nectar secreting cells, they are called as nectaries. And they are usually located at the base of the pistil, that is based on the female reproductive structure, or at the base of the petals, that is exactly at the base of the flower, and that is the nectar secreting cell called nectaries. And again, the function to attract insects for cross pollination. And in some of the flowers, nectaries, they may be very very prominent structure, as in case of nasturtium. Yeah, now this nasturtium flower is shown here, this one. Yeah, so this is the flower. This dark green color thing is the pedicel, and this another structure on the top that you see, not on the top but on the side ideally, is your nectaries, right? Because it will store the nectar and it will have all those nectar secreting cells. And this is also visible in this diagram, where you have stalk here and this side structure is the nectar. Yeah, and that way these some of the flowers, they do have special structure. Another common flower that you would know of, I'm sure even if you don't know the name, but you surely have seen this, that is lamenta. Lamenta flower. No, lamenta only, right? Flowers. Lamenta, no, not lamenta then. what is it called? Oh, I just forgot the name. Lantana, not lamenta. I'm sorry, lantana. Yeah, these ones. Yeah, these ones you would have seen very commonly around even the villages or wherever you are living.
Looks like Corona, sir.
Sorry.
Looks like Corona.
Yeah, it looks like corona. So that way, again in Sahyadri, this is a very commonly found plant around. This is again an invasive species. But yeah, if you have ever plucked these flowers and put it in your mouth and sucked it in, you will see how that sweet taste of the nectar present in this flower. At least I have done quite a lot in my childhood. But yeah, this is a common flower that we see, which has nectars. Now this doesn't have special structure as a nectar is, but just at the base of the flowers, you will find so many nectar secreting cells. So that is the nectaries. And I guess we can stop here. Next class, we will start with the sexuality in flowers. Anyone has any question? So